He says, no more. And she says to the 3D, no more. No more of this old story. I trust in us. I trust in our love. We were created for each other. We love each other deeply. Before union happens, this thing happens, okay? Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, my name is Kim. This is Core Union. Happy Saturday. I have been down and out for the past week, recovering from something. But during the time and right before it happened, I did end up manifesting an experience that I wanted to share with you because it's just another good example of how when whatever it is that you desire or need, whether it's something you end up doing or not, it'll always be given to you, it'll always be shown. And it's going to happen when you're just in flow. And what that means is that when you are peaceful and relaxed, and one of the best ways to be peaceful and relaxed is to turn within and pour love into yourself, okay? To stay grounded, to really give to yourself and not consistently take all of your power as God, universe, source, the light. You are one with that power, but essentially what you guys are doing unintentionally is you're taking all of that power of what you're made of, and you're basically saying here, and you're giving it away to everything in the 3D reality. But everything in the 3D reality, everything in the 3D reality is a product of your past belief system, your belief system of whether you deserve love, money, health, all of that. I also want to share something that one of my clients manifested with her mirror soul and whatever ends up coming up with that. So before I get further into this, if you do love my content, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps my channel grow. I appreciate you. If you want me to be your coach to help you manifest anything related to your specific person, true love, mirror soul, whatever you want to label the connection, email a short description to kim@coreunion.com. Go to the website, coreunion.com, book whatever you want to book. My scheduling assistant, Olga, will get back to you with my next available session. All right. So the first thing I wanted to share before I share my clients what happened with her and her mirror soul, which was amazing, with what happened with me. I started having these desires. Well, what if I was just like coaching people who didn't become aware of me through the law of assumption? What would that be like? So you guys know I shared that once I was thinking about that, then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I end up scheduling an appointment for somebody to come in to look at my garage, the house that I just manifested, to give me a quote on doing the floor over. And then through the conversation, she ends up telling me that she wants me to be a coach for her adult daughter. Now I decided I didn't feel a calling towards that. I didn't feel a pulling towards it, but it was a good manifestation. Just proof, obviously, that reality is always reflecting you, period. So we're one with our entire reality. So a few weeks back, I continued to have that desire. And it was weird because out of nowhere, I started having these scary flashbacks, these little things that happened when I was in my mid 20s. It happened, and then it happened a couple more times. I don't remember exactly the age. I should have thought about it before. It doesn't actually matter. But there's something that was very scary that I experienced. It was felt very traumatic when I experienced it. So late 20s, and then somewhere later in my late 30s, and then somewhere probably in my late 40s. Let's just say that, for example. I started having out of nowhere these flashbacks, and it was just intrusive and it was bothering me. I didn't like how it felt. it was just kind of coming into my head too many times and I wasn't comfortable with it. So then I start thinking I have a desire maybe to see somebody nearby that does EMDR, just to have a couple sessions, just to kind of just see what it's about. I've never done it before. I know that I don't have to do EMDR. I don't have to heal myself fully to obviously manifest things that I want, obviously. But they're intrusive thoughts. There's nothing wrong with using these tools that are at our disposal. Okay. But you just don't, you can't have this attitude that you have to be fully healed and fully perfect to be able to, for example, be with your mirror soul, be in a relationship, have the money that you want. Okay. So use the tools, but don't think that you need them, that you need to do anything more. Okay. Does that make sense? So, anyway, then I kept having, I had an appointment with somebody to do my hair, and the appointment kept falling apart for whatever reason. Finally, the day came where I went and I saw her. And then it's really quick. It's a quick appointment, just shaving the underside. I have a little undercut under in the back here. So now, remember, I'm desiring now to have a local EMDR person that I might be able to see a couple times. And then I'm also having this desire to coach people locally just to see what the experience would be like. How different would it be if, you know, if she has no awareness and she's, just doing the inner work and she's not consistently searching for a different video, a different this, a different that, then I'm just curious what happens. These are my two desires. So then I have the appointment with her. We're talking. She asks me what I do for a living. I tell her, now she owns the hair salon, but she actually wants to become a nutritionist for autistic children. So anyway, I'm just talking to her. I'm just being myself. That's all. I'm not like trying to sell myself to be anything. And so we're just chatting back and forth. And then before you know it, I tell her what I do for a living. And she asked me if I'm on social media. And I'm very private. So I basically said yes, but I don't really share that. And she said, totally respect that because I like to keep my autonomy and my privacy. So she ends up asking me if I could be her coach. And now I don't know if I'm actually going to coach her or not, but again, this was another manifestation. So I basically, we just kept talking and I said, sure, why not? I know I can help you. And I personally would love to have that be part of my portfolio that, one of my clients has a successful nutritional practice helping young autistic children like improve their lives. That's amazing. Then this was so funny. She said she brought up something else about seeing somebody previously. And I said, "Oh, well, what was that about?" And she said, "Oh, well, he's an EMDR person." I was like, "You're kidding me." And so then she ended up giving me a card. So I was obviously looking for a local person that I might be able to have a couple EMDR sessions with, but who's reputable and reliable and good at what they do. So here I am now manifesting somebody locally who wants me to be her coach. And then she also gives me the name of a reputable EMDR coach that helped her with something, that she was overcoming an emotional thing or whatever. So I thought that was really a lot of fun. And then what ended up happening was I ended up getting really just, I think I've been overdoing things and I needed to really rest. And sometimes when we become imbalanced because we're just doing too much, I think everything, with buying the house and doing so many projects and having so many clients and doing so many videos. And even though I do love myself, I feel like I got really imbalanced and my body basically said, no more. And I had no choice but to lay down, to sleep a lot. And so then I just went into a lot of appreciation and love and sleep and rest and just, letting my body do what it needs to do. I just wanted to share that when you ask for something and when you desire something, it will always be given to you. Then you can decide if you want it or not. That's up to you. But when it comes to your true love, your specific person, mirror soul, when you guys are not embodying the oneness with them, then when you're consistently feeling like they're outside of you and they don't want you as much as you want them, and there are all these problems that we had, and all of these things are the reasons why we're not talking right now. When you do that, you aren't recognizing the oneness with your mirror soul. You are already one with your mirror soul. You guys share the same consciousness. Yes, you are one with everyone, but obviously you're not deeply in love with the store clerk, your favorite supermarket where you shop, right? So you're one with your mother, you're one with your family, you're one with the people that you work with. You're one with the people that you meet and your neighborhood. You're one with your entire life, your entire reality, all of nature. You are one with everything. So I think it's best, and I'll share what my client manifested with her Marisol, which was amazing. But I think it's best for you to consistently stay aware that you're one with everything and everyone. Okay. So now what happened with my client? She's been manifesting her mirror soul for like 3.5 years. There was that amount of time that there was nothing, no communication at all when she came to me for coaching. And she's been doing the packages. So now they're back together now. But before, when she first started coming to me, of course, she had the same set of fears, limiting beliefs that everyone does. So it's okay. But I explained the importance of going within, making the decision, and to stop going off track and off the rails. Like, of course, in the beginning, when you're doing your inner work, of course, you're going to have moments where you're confused. You're going to have moments where you might want to give up, where you're frustrated or scared. But as soon as you catch yourself that you're about to go outside of yourself in any way, stop. And if you've had coaching, for example, whether it's with me or your coach, stop yourself. Respect the boundaries that we have set. That, in other words, as soon as I feel the rise that I'm becoming aware of fear, this isn't who I truly am. This is who I used to be. But I am one with my entire life. I'm one with Creator. I'm one with the light. I'm the vessel of the light, creating on behalf of the light. And everyone in my reality is meant to be with me. So in other words, you feel it rise up, and instead of, okay, if you cry, cry. But you catch yourself and you just stop and you go, no, I trust myself. We love each other deeply. I'm literally everything to them. I'm everything that they've ever wanted and more. We love each other. Our life together is harmonious, secure, stable. We have the dream relationship that we've both always wanted. You want to stop yourself. Now, if you are in a trigger, then in that moment, instead of just saying, no, I trust myself. I know that they love me. I'm everything to them. They can't stop thinking about me. Of course, we can't stop thinking about each other. We're obsessed with loving each other. Like you can use your how much you obsessively love them, not in a toxic way. I wouldn't do that, but you know what I'm saying? Like when you really are deeply in love with somebody, and of course you can't stop thinking about them, well, then it's equal, it's mutual. It's not just you consistently thinking about them, they're consistently thinking about you too, because you're literally everything to them. It's equal, okay? So anyway, sorry. So now if you're in a trigger, You don't do that in a trigger. If you're in a trigger, you just turn within and you give yourself love, like what I was referring to earlier. When I suddenly started having visuals of this scary thing that, happened to me when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, whenever it was, and then I feel like it's linked back to, something when I was a kid. I'm not going to give all my power to that. But when I have the fear come over me because it's scary, I'm going to just turn to myself and love myself. This has nothing to do with my mirror soul, right? So I'm just going to turn and give myself love in that moment and tell myself that I'm safe and secure. And if it means going back and doing a little revision with those things, then that's what it means. If it feels like too much for me to do revision with it, then go and do some EMDR with somebody so it's not something that's just intrusive anymore. Okay? All right, anyway. So when you're in the trigger, you just give yourself love. Just turn to yourself and just be compassionate. Be a compassionate, loving leader. Tell yourself how deeply loved, chosen, and how much of a priority you are. That's all you need to do. That energy that comes up inside of you, right? And then you surrender and hand it over. And then you do revision if you feel safe doing revision. It's never safe, by the way, to do revision with a highly abusive situation that happened to you when you were younger. That's never safe to do. And that would be a time where I would do something like EMDR. I do have clients who have done EMDR and they've had incredible results. So anyway, now back to my client. Sorry for, So anyway, so after 3.5 years, she's doing the inner work now and she's being very consistent. Now, you might recognize if you have manifested your person back and there's been some back and forth, it's okay because you might recognize some of this would happen because there is a pattern that I see does happen and with deep soul connections, okay? So now she's doing everything consistently. And she's loving herself and she's pouring love into herself. I tell her all these things to do for herself. I'm not telling her what you need to do this. I'm just kind of guiding her, right? And so now every time we meet, she's like, Kim, I don't know how much more love I can be giving to myself. I said, well, keep doing it. Just keep loving yourself. Keep enjoying your life because you want to get to a place where you are peaceful and relaxed and you're not waiting, you're embodying love, you're being love, you feel whole and complete, your life is wonderful. So eventually, as she continued to be consistent and she stopped all the bad habits. At first, when we were coaching, after the first few sessions, she was still doing some of the bad habits, but eventually she realized, what am I doing to myself? If I do all these things that my coach is telling me I should stop doing, I'm still triggering myself. So what am I doing? I'm not getting anywhere with this. I'm just like consistently looping the same old version of myself and the same old version of my reality, right? So this is what you guys have to realize. And she finally realized it. So then she stopped all of those habits. So then she's driving one day and she's driving by a park that her and her Marisol had spent time with a good amount of times when they were together. And she just, I don't know, she's probably listening to music or whatever, but she's feeling good and stuff. And she's at a stoplight and she looks over and there's her Marisol on his bike. He's not looking at her, she's looking at him. And then she's like, oh my God. So then she keeps driving and she looks in the rearview mirror and, she can still see him. And then he turns down the street or whatever. So she keeps doing her work, but she told me this was one of the first things that happened that she ended up having, seeing him and it was starting to unfold. But then what happened was she saw him a few more times. Eventually, he ended up reaching out to her out of nowhere. They started to communicate, and then he went quiet again. She stayed in her energy, embodying the relationship. He eventually reached out again. One thing leads to another to another. So communication trickles in. Then they end up spending time together and seeing each other. He ends up apologizing to her for things that happened in the past. They have a really nice time together, nice, really good communication. Then they stop communicating a little bit. So then he comes in and out a little bit, and she's staying in her power. Eventually, he ends up completely opening up to her and telling her that she always meant everything to him, that he still does love her, and that he wants to be with her, but that while they were apart, he started to do something related to abuse that he went through as a child. So he started to do something in the 3D so he could start facing this stuff. They get closer and closer and closer. And then he says, I never want to see you again. I don't want to be with you. Even though he said all of these other things and he basically claimed her, then he said, I'm sorry, we have to stop communicating. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be in a relationship. And I think he may have even brought up another person, okay? Which I don't even, I think that was all just, I don't think that it was true at all. So when that happened, this is so common. This happens to so many people. Before union happens, this thing happens, okay? She recognized it. And I'm not saying that this is easy, but she recognized it. She went through her fear about it. She went through the pain about it because still it's not a fun experience. And then she absolutely said, no, I know that we belong together. We are each other's love. I don't care. This doesn't matter. So in other words, all of the words that he said to her when she knew now he came back. They started to see each other more. She learned that all that time he still was thinking about her. And then there was this thing that he was overcoming the past with abuse that he went through as a child. He says, no more. And she says to the 3D, no more. No more of this old story. I trust in us. I trust in our love. We were created for each other. We love each other deeply. She did everything that I taught her. She stayed in her power. I'm not saying she didn't, it wasn't like she was aware of it, even though when it first happened, of course it was triggering. Of course it threw her off of her game. Of course she cried. Of course but she did it in a way of not fully falling for the 3D. So she was able to get stable, grounded, and secure a lot quicker. And then he came back. And then he basically went all in with her. And he explained everything. Okay? So when the 3D or your fear or a bad dream or some thought of the past or something comes up and you can feel like it's about to pull you out of alignment, catch yourself, okay? Like I mentioned earlier in the video. But the biggest thing is to trust in the oneness of you and your love, of your true love. I talked about quantum entanglement in an old video a couple of years ago. I'll link that somewhere in this video. But basically, you guys, we're all atoms. I know everything in life appears to be solid, but on a quantum level, we are truly all atoms. When atoms collide, so you and your person are already one, okay? But I like to use this example, and I'll link the other video, like I said. But in short, when atoms collide, they become entangled. Once atoms become entangled, an atom can be over here and it can be 5 miles away or a billion miles away. And when this atom moves, in the exact same moment, this other atom moves. It's that simple. And this is proven, by the way, so you don't have to just take my word for it. I'm not a scientist, but it's true. So when you move, your person moves. So this little situation that I described with my client that some of you may have experienced with your person, they come back, they leave, they come back, they leave, they come back, they leave. On like when they come back and you start to get in your feelings about it and you start to wonder, are they going to leave again? Is it going to happen again? Or you start to get just like too insecure. Like, what does this mean? Is this that? What did that mean? Did this? When you start to get into that energy, then in the exact same time, your person's going to be feeling what you feel, and that's not going to feel good, right? So if you're starting to go into the old story again, you're not embodying who you truly are. You're not embodying who the two of you guys truly are. You're not embodying the oneness. You've put yourself back into separation consciousness. You're seeing them as separate from you, as if they, as if they don't want you as much as you want them, questioning things. Okay, so you're no longer recognizing who you truly are. So if you start to go into that energy, then they do too. Just like those entangled atoms. When one moves, the other moves in the exact same time, no matter whether they're, again, 5 minutes apart or light years apart. So try to start recognizing the oneness more. Stay stable, grounded, secure. Remember that the love is equal and mutual. And if you're like, how do you know that? You have to know that. I already know that because I understand how life works and what love is, and that people are meant to be with who they were created to love. I understand this, but don't ask me, how do I know that your person loves you? You have to know that your person loves you. Okay. So if you need help, obviously get a coach that will help you. Okay. So recognize the oneness of that's why your person comes and goes, is because you're kind of going in and out of the oneness. You're going in and out of trust. You're going in and out of the power of your love together. You're not trusting, okay? When you are balanced and secure and stable and grounded and in trust, and you believe in the love, you believe in them, and you know that the two of you guys are everything that you've always wanted. When you get into that balance and trust, it's not a magic trick. It's not like, ooh, thoughts leaving my head and going into their head to make them want me. They already want you. So, okay, try to understand this on this deeper level, okay? Anyway, please affirm down below, I trust that me and my mirror soul were literally created to love each other. Our bodies feel safe and secure in this relationship. I actually have a couple. We recognize each other's love in a calm, loving, and grounded way. Our connection with each other feels natural, steady, and secure. And obviously, reach out to me if you need me. I love you. I intend this helped. Bye.
Nothing can come, nothing can come, nothing can come between us.